Hans wants to play it after he really liked It Takes Two. And he was like, oh, we got to play this, but we're playing Orcs Must Die at the moment.
And we're live.
And we're live, apparently. And I have no idea what I'm going to say. So, hey, welcome back, Middle-Aged Gamers. Lots of stuff happening. I've been playing Avowed. Adam is playing Singularity. Antoine is playing A Room. The Room. Is The Room right, Antoine?
The Room, yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Because I know this game, but I always forget whether it's an or the, which is also a grammatical issue that is a problem. So State of Play happened. You know, we've talked about it before it came out. Check out Adam's this is what we're expecting in the State of Play video. That was pretty cool and interesting. Some of you did actually like it. But now we get to talk about what actually happened, what games came out, what was there, what was not there, and what are the expectations going forward for the rest of 2025. So we have to go to our Sony expert, Adam. Adam, tell us what happened.
Yeah, I was actually expecting a lot of my predictions. Were not there. There was no Death Stranding. There was no Ghost of 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙦, which were the two that I'm like, those are definitely going to be there. They were not there at all. But we did get probably, I think the only one that I mentioned before that did end up showing up was a Midnight Walk. I think I mentioned that one. Other than that, yeah, a lot of surprises. Some games looking good. Other ones I'm kind of like meh. So there were 29 games. Well, 29 announcements. 26 of them were games, plus 3 DLC. So I'm gonna not go into all 29 because that would be insane. That's a large number of games, and that would take us basically an entire episode. And if we were going about 60 minutes, that would take us 2 minutes per game. So I'm gonna skip all the. I'm gonna skip a lot of them, but I'm gonna be going to. I've seen online discussing quite a bit of. So first of all, we got Shinobi Art of Vengeance, which, as Korean pointed out, hey, that looks a lot like Nine Souls. And I was like, yes, it does look a lot like Nine Souls. I don't think it is a Nine Souls style game, though, because Nine Souls was a bit more of a 2D Souls-like, what's that game that everyone's talking about, the second one coming out, Silk Song.
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight, yeah. So, you know, I don't think it's quite going to be that. Traditionally, the Shinobi games are kind of side-scrolling brawler type things. And looking at the style of gameplay, looking at some of the video stuff, it does look like you're more of a Battletoads style type game. You know, they show him like surfing on something and blowing stuff up as, you know, as the camera controls the side-scrolling segments and stuff like that. But if you like those kind of games, you know, check out Shinobi Art of Vengeance. We also got a look at Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, which is pretty much your basic kart racer. You know, you're driving around like you would in Mario Kart, and you can pick up items and you can shoot them at each other. However, this one is adding some changes over previous entries. For one, you're gonna be able to customize your vehicles. So your characters are not locked to a single vehicle this time. You will be able to customize those. So that, for the, you know, that excites the Mod Nation racer in me, because I have PlayStation and I don't have Mario Kart. So Sonic Team Racing is probably the closest I'm gonna get. But it does have a really cool extra feature in that when you finish a lap, there's going to be a series of rings, and then whoever's the leader can go through a ring, and that's going to dictate where the second lap takes place. So it's kind of like a what was it, the Ratchet and Clank, like the Rift game, where you can go through dimensions. So you're going to do your first lap. At the end of the first lap, there's a ring. Whoever's in first place, they race through whichever ring they want, and then that's going to dictate where your second lap's going to take place. So it's not like you're doing the same circuit over and over and over again. So that's kind of an interesting twist on it. So I'm kind of interested in that. I'll have to keep my eye on that one. Also, Digimon Storytime Stranger. I haven't played a Digimon game in forever. I think back since the original PlayStation 2 or the original PlayStation 2. How many different iterations were there? But I don't think maybe since like PlayStation 2 or something like that. But this is an RPG, and it is a turn-based RPG. So for people out there saying, hey, turn-based RPGs are dead. No, they're not. They still exist. Persona's around, Digimon's around, Dragon Quest is around. These are still very popular. So, hey, they do exist, and Final Fantasy can return someday if they want to. But you know, it is exciting. I do love my RPGs, so I'll keep my eye on that one as well. We got a little more of a look at Lost Soul Aside. That is one of the China Project games that's coming out. We got a little bit more where they're talking about, you know, kind of the lore of the game, and how the girl's somehow connected to the guy, and she needs him to help save her or whatever. Don't quite remember. I'm not personally super interested in that game, but I know a lot of people really are. So it is a bit of a big deal that we were able to get a little bit more of a reveal on that. And that one's coming out soon. If gameplay wise, it looks kind of like your Nier Automata or Stellar Blade, but it does look like it's more of the linear sections of Stellar Blade. Yeah, me too. You got a comment here. I wish Final Fantasy would go back to turn-based once or twice, but I do enjoy their current stuff as well. As do I. If you do want turn-based stuff and you haven't played World of Final Fantasy, I do recommend checking out World of Final Fantasy. That was really good. But anyway, Lost Soul aside, does look like it'll be a little bit more linear than Stellar Blade. So if you played Stellar Blade and you've played through the 807 section or the Matrix 11 section, it looks like it's going to be a little bit more like those sections where you're a little more guided, a little more like Devil May Cry. We also got the Directive 8020, which to me looked really, really interesting. And then I saw that it is a Dark Pictures game, which makes a lot of sense. If you haven't played those games, they're very similar to a Telltale game. I believe it's made by the same people that did The Quarry and Until Dawn. So it's that style of game, kind of a interactive movie. You're not really playing through the game so much, but the story seems to be that it is a cross between The Thing and Aliens. So there's people on a ship and some sort of life form shows up, and that life form is able to replicate them, and now they're trying to figure out, who is still crew, who is this alien life form. So if you enjoy those style of games, then keep an eye on this one. I definitely will. I'm definitely into that genre, so looks exciting to me. Another game that I was really excited about was Onimusha Way of the Sword, which is the next Onimusha game, which we haven't had in a while. It's been a while since we've had a few remakes or remasters. We had a remaster the first one a while back. They just, at the same state of play, they announced the remaster of the second game. And in the similar news, Jean Reno, who is one of the main characters in the third game, has voiced that he would be up for voicing his character again if they remake the third one. So he's on board with that, which is really cool. I remember reading back in the day where they were making Onimusha 3, and the director was like, you know what, I wanted a more international protagonist this time. The last two games have been Japanese. I wanted to tell a different story, maybe from a Western perspective, but I don't want the actor to be American. So who is that level of fame? And Jean Reno was the only one he could think of. So, kudos to Jean Reno. Awesome dude. But yeah, so maybe we'll get a remaster of that one. But anyway, this new one, Way of the Sword, same kind of idea. You're a samurai warrior. You've got your Oni gauntlet out there. You can absorb these monsters' souls and whatnot. Also, what's interesting is that the main character is actually modeled after Toshiro Mifune, who is a Japanese actor who was most famous in the 1940s and has since passed away. So that kind of got me wondering, it's kind of an interesting concept because, like recently also, this is unrelated, but recently also, Harrison Ford came out and said, you don't need AI to steal my soul. Was it Troy Baker did a great job with Indiana Jones. So that kind of brings up, in my mind, it kind of brings up that whole debate again of should we be using AI or whatnot? Because it's not Troy Baker's Troy Baker's. Troy Baker's Harrison Ford. And here we're taking a famous actor who has passed away in 1997, and we're creating a character in his likeness. To kind of bring back he was famous for a lot of samurai movies. He was in Rashomon, The Hidden Forest, Seven Samurai, So, it's a recognizable face. So I don't know. It's a weird feeling, but that's a discussion for a different time. And then, we'll talk more about this later. Metal Gear Solid. Hell Is Us, we got a little bit more on. So it looks like the game's going to be semi-open world. It's going to be, you're running around. We got a little bit more on story and whatnot there. That looks really interesting. That's probably one of the ones that I have my eye on the most. We got an announcement of Stellar Blade's new DLC, which is going to be Goddess of Victory Nike. So but that actually concerns me a little bit because I've been really wanting Stellar Blade DLC. But and a lot of people have, but we've been wanting story DLC. But so far we've had one paid DLC. This is going to be the second paid DLC, and both of them are crossover content. So that's a little bit concerning to me. As is Shift Up going to be giving us any kind of story DLC, or is all the DLC going to be crossover content? So I'm a little bit worried there. But moving on, we also have Seuros, which is by the people who made Returnal, and it's basically, they said it's going to be a very similar game. The only real difference is going to be that this time when you die, you maintain all your stuff. So, you know, instead of losing it all, you're going to keep it. So, you know, you're always going to come back stronger. So they've kind of refined that formula. So it's going to be a roguelike. That one actually looks interesting to me too. I haven't played Returnal yet. I do kind of want to, though. Maybe I will at some point. But the game that actually didn't catch my attention, but the one that I see coming up the most often on the internet is Tides of Annihilation. So we'll go a little bit more into this one. Tides of Annihilation is going to be available on PS5, PC, and Xbox. You take on the role of Gwendolyn, who is the last surviving human in London. London has been twisted by an invasion of another reality, so it's crumbling, falling apart. She's the only human survivor left, and you'll be moving between the realms of London and Avalon. So this is connected to Arthurian legend. And yeah, it's you're able to summon the Knights of the Round Table for various powers. And as a result, people are comparing this to Final Fantasy 16, in the same way that Clive is able to summon the different icons, and then each one has a different kind of power style that he can use. Looking at the two side by side, they are very similar. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, this kind of looks like Stellar Blade a little bit. But looking at it more, it does look a lot like Final Fantasy 16. So maybe keep your eye on that one. They do say there are over 30 unique boss fights. Several of them will be gigantic knights, which are these monsters that roam the city. So yeah, that's another one to keep an eye on. So those are some of my personal highlights. Like I said, there are several other games that did show up. There are some DLCs, like, you know, Lies of P had a DLC announcement. But there was a lot. It was a 40-minute show. So we're not going to go into everything here. But I believe Antoine and Korean actually are going to be diving a little bit deeper into two of the games that did show up. So, I mean, if anybody has something they'd like to add here, or if you'd like to move on, now is the perfect point to segue.
Antoine, anything you want to add before you segue?
A little tidbit on Jean Reno.
Okay.
He's a very famous French actor, and why I thought of him is because he's very well known apparently in Japan. He did a couple of advertisements with Doraemon, which is very funny when you think of it as in French it's Léon, but I think in English it's Léon the Killer or something like this.
It's Leon as well, just the same.
Yeah.
And also it's because he's kind of an old actor, and he's coming from this generation where, you know, the producer was saying, your real name is not that attractive, so you know what? We'll call you Jean Reno. But that's not his real name.
What's his real name?
Wait until the end of the show and I will tell you.
Oh, okay. But I mean, that was like a generational movie, right? Was Jean Reno and Natalie Portman in Leon, and
Jean Reno
not
has
even
done a
that.
lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and was it Luc Besson who made Jean Reno famous, right?
Very likely, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know his whole career, but unfortunately, I think he did the first Godzilla, which, you know, bombed.
The American Godzilla, yeah, the terrible one.
Yes. Unfortunately, he was dragged into this one, but yeah.
He was probably the best character in that movie.
Yeah. If you want to know Jean Reno's real name, wait until the end of the show.
All right, I mean, yeah. Let's move on.
We're gonna
about Metal Gear
we're gonna
Solid.
catch it anyway, so yeah, exactly. So my choice, you know, for this state of play is of course Metal Gear Solid, because I'm a big fan of the franchise. You know, I'm at this age where MGS on PlayStation was the big game, which was fantastic, and it always had these great you know, like gameplay ideas, like, you know, putting your controller on the second tab to play against the psychic. And so yes, that's one of the first, I can't remember the other one, but anyway, MGS without Hideo Kojima, and I'm not counting the 2018. I think it was Survive, because it was a portable game on portable, so it's not, you know, on the official PlayStation. Anyway, for me it doesn't count, but it didn't work anyway. So the last games they did was MGS 5, which unfortunately because of the breakup with Kojima, they never finished the game, which, you know, I'm still a bit salty about, but that's not the point of the game of the show today. Today I'm gonna talk about MGS Delta Snake Eater, which of course is a remake of Snake Eater Metal Gear Solid 3, and it's an action-adventure stealth video game developed and published by, of course, Konami, who owns the IP. It's coming out on PS5 on August 28. Thank you very much. It's just when the kids are going back to school, so they're gonna hate it. Thank you very much. A little bit, in case you haven't played Snake Eater, because that's kind of an old game now, it's a prequel to the whole series, and we're gonna come back on this. Set in 1964, and it follows a Fox operative called codename Naked Snake. And in this game, so it's set up 1964, right? So imagine Cold War. Russians are still the baddies. Well, they are still again, but anyway, not the question. Not the question. So he must save a Russian rocket scientist, I think, who want to go to the US front and sabotage a Soviet nuclear super weapon, so the Metal Gear of that time, which is called the 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙦, which I believe Adam did a great Besiege 𝙎𝙪𝙥 a while ago, so it was really well done. Put a card over right here, you know. You'll see it's a great video. So yeah, in case you ask, because you know Metal Gear is very famous for Solid Snake. Naked Snake is not Solid Snake. They are not the same person. Naked Snake in the future of the series is gonna be known as Big Boss. And why they look the same, other than the fact that you know they were too lazy to create another character, is also because Solid and Liquid Snakes are actually clones of Naked Snake. So not same character, but technically their dad, I would say. So why Snake Eater was chosen by Konami as a remake among all those others? So why it wasn't they chose this Snake Eater to make a remake over the other entry? You know, I'm just repeating myself, but just because I can't speak tonight, that's fine. It's because of its set of origin story, which introduced a lot of very important characters. So basically, by doing this, kind of saying we want to reboot the story, and in order to reboot the story, we just do this one, which introduced a lot of important characters. For instance, you have the young Ocelot with revolver Ocelot before he loses his hand. You have the former mentor of Naked Snake, which is the boss, who defected to the Soviet Union. So you have quite a cool fight in there. And so basically why I really wanted to do this. We'll come back again to this. What they do on this one is that they decided to faithfully reproduce the same game. And the story is a model for graphic. It's really a remake and not a reboot. And I already said there won't be any significant deviations. So that's maybe also why I wanted to restart with this one. It's an easy choice because at the time Hideo Kojima, of course, was the game director, and he broke up with Konami, so he's not gonna pilot this one. So, and it's official, right? Kojima has nothing to do, maybe apart from in spirit, because you know he's one who wrote the story. So that's a way. That's kind of a lazy way to make a remake which is gonna make money for Konami. If you don't know how to make a Metal Gear 6, just redo the 3 because the story was already amazing. So that might mean that, like in the original, you will get the incredibly long last scene, which is like at least 2 minutes long, which is a whole Snake climbing the ladder while in the background you have the Snake Eater theme song playing, which is why the ladder is so long. So it's well known because it's a bit awkward and then like kind of a classic. So I never knew if I really liked it or not. But all along the music play, you still have to climb this bloody ladder. And also one of the good, like I told you, in Metal Gear, they really like to put some little gameplay innovation around the boss. And in the original one, and I'm not spoiling anything because it's quite long, you had different way to kill the boss. Either you just follow the story, in a line and you just fight the boss as intended, or you had some other ways. Like for instance, and that was my favorite one, there's a sniper which is kind of a grandpa, and you can simply not go there. So you will see the sniper going into position, waiting for you, waiting for you, waiting forever, and literally die waiting because you just go somewhere else. And when you arrive at the sniper after, instead of just when you were supposed to go there, well, you just find his corpse, waiting for you like this. And honestly, I can't remember if he dies of old age or heart attack or whatever, but I recall he dies like this, and that was very funny. So see, that's the thing with Metal Gear. It always surprises you. And what else? Oh yes, little tidbit to the end. Why they call it Delta? According to the Metal Gear X account, at the time it was Twitter account, the Delta symbol in the game fits the concept of a remake project. Delta means change or difference without changing structure. So it's basically just the old, Snake Eater, just nicer. So we'll see how it goes. If it's exactly the same game with nicer graphics, still gonna be a great game. It's kind of lazy, so I really don't want to see it, in the Game Awards at the end of the year, if it's really like this, because there's literally zero effort, but just updating graphics, and you can really feel that, Konami is like, we need to make money somehow. Tell me how you feel about this Snake Eater. I really think it's going to be great. I'm going to be very happy to go back in there. But again, I really don't want to see it in the Game Award because that's not an original ID. It's just a recycled ID from good old Kojima, who's doing, I think Death Stranding 2 is for this year, right?
Death Stranding 2 is this year, yeah.
And this one is definitely going to be in the Game Awards. So we don't want to see an old Kojima versus a new Kojima at the Game Awards. That would be awkward. Yeah.
It's Jeff Keighley, though.
Who?
It is Jeff Keighley, though, and he's a huge Kojima fan. So,
yeah, wow.
But I'm with you. I am the kind of person who's like, if you're going to remake a game, just stay faithful to the original. I'm not super thrilled with the direction that Final Fantasy VII Remake has gone in, so I'm very happy that they're sticking with the original structure of the game. But yeah, I'm with you. Don't nominate this for a Game of the Year. I mean, this was Game of the Year back in 1990, whatever. So, yeah, let a new idea win. But definitely give me an updated version of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. That was a fantastic game. I think I played it like 3 times back in the day or whatever. In a row.
Very cool. Now, I did not hit the record button again, and I missed Adam's critical state of play review, which is going to be
the whole thing.
The whole thing, exactly. So, Mr. Gray, I'll give you a choice, because, I mean, my split fiction story was not going to be planned for this week's content anyway. Would you like to talk about State of Play again, or do you talk about something else for?
I mean, I can, but we have people watching, and they've already seen that. So,
I mean, at the end of the day, right? The thing that brings in theoretically brings in the dollars is this sort of stuff. So, your choice.
No, you can go ahead and talk about split fiction.
No. But I mean, like, that's my point. Split fiction is not on the content schedule for this week.
I mean, either way.
Oh, if you want to talk about split fiction,
I didn't pay that much attention to it. It didn't strike my fancy.
Okay.
I mean, if you want me to repeat my whole thing, I can repeat the whole thing.
Yes, repeat it.
All right. Take 2, but not interactive. So for those of you watching, I apologize. We had a technical difficulty here, and usually what we do is we will play our live show, and then we cut that into the long-form content that we will be playing throughout the week. Unfortunately, we did not record my section of the thing. We have this video here.
Korean did not record.
Korean did not record.
Yes.
We have this video here that you are watching live. But in that, my face is very, very small, and apparently Korean likes to make my face very, very large on these videos. So we're gonna have to record that so I'm not a big blurry mess. So welcome back to the past. We are going over this again. Sony did their state of play just this week. I think it was even like it got announced the day after I said it. It always happens where I'm like, oh, I heard a rumor about this happening. And then literally the day after, it's like, oh yeah, that's totally a thing. So we got our state of play, and we got 29 different announcements. Now, of those 29, 26 were games, 3 were DLC. So we did get a lot of game content. Some of them are games that we've seen before. Other ones are brand new. So I'm going to give you guys a quick breakdown of the games that we have already. Oh, no, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of the games that either interested me. Yeah, who's usually player 4 in the live video. We got a question here in the chat. They're asking, who is player 4 in the live video? It used to be Phil, but Phil has not been here in over a year. So it is an empty slot until we find somebody else. Otherwise, it will just be sitting there blinking, waiting for player 4. But anyway, back to where I was. I'll be going over some of my highlights and some of the highlights that other people were watching. Oh, and I'm still playing Antoine's video, but that's perfectly fine. I meant to put up my stuff last time and I forgot. So here's a second opportunity for me to actually display on screen what I wanted you guys to see. Anyway, moving back in, we had a few announcements. The first one was Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Which, if you've played the Shinobi games before, you kind of know what to expect. We haven't had one in a while. These are kind of side-scrolling brawler games. You know, if you've played Battletoads or Turtles in Time or Streets of Rage, that sort of thing, you kind of have an idea of what you're going to be in for here. Now, this game, it does look a lot like Nine Souls. So Korean was originally like, oh no, it's another one of those kind of Souls-like really difficult games. But looking at it, it does look a little bit more like Battletoads, which, to be fair, Battletoads is an incredibly difficult game. So maybe it will be hard, but it does look like it's less of one of those kind of like Souls-like with a parry mechanic and more of a beat 'em up. You know, you're just kind of moving through waves and waves and waves of enemies. So if you're into that sort of game, like the old Shinobi games, that sort of thing, definitely keep an eye on this one. The art style is really interesting. So definitely something worth looking out for. If you are a kart racer fan, then you probably know of Mario Kart. But what you also probably know of is Sonic Team Racing. And Sonic Team Racing made an announcement for Sonic Team Racing Cross Worlds, which is basically your standard fare, right? You get your kart, you run around on the track, you pick up upgrades, you shoot each other in the back. But this one does have a few new things. So they are changing up the formula a bit. For one, you're going to be able to customize your kart this time. Normally, I think they're locked to specific carts, but this time we're going to be able to look at, you know, or change them up a bit. You know, you can make it a little bit lighter and faster. You can affect the drift, you know, you'll customize it a little bit more. So that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed Mod Nation Racer personally. So for me, that's very, very exciting. But the other mechanic that's really interesting is that when you are the leader, at the end of the lap, they have the rings, like, you know, in Sonic the Hedgehog, you'd have the bonus rings. Go into those, you get your bonus worlds. But here, at the end of the lap, you're presented with those rings. Whoever's the leader can go through one of those rings, and that'll actually change the world for the next lap. So you're not just reiterating the same track 3 times or whatever. So that's kind of an interesting way to change it up a bit. You know, keep it a little bit exciting. You don't know what you're going to be getting in the second lap. If you're the leader, you can kind of pick maybe a map that you're a little bit better at. So that'll be an interesting tweak to see. I'm looking forward to that. And I haven't played a kart racer in a long time. I don't have a Switch, so the last one I played majorly was Mod Nation Racer on the PS3, if that gives you a hint to how long it's been. Otherwise, you know, when I'm on vacation or something, you know, maybe my nieces will bring over a Switch and we'll play Mario Kart on occasion. But so looking forward to that one. We also got Digimon Storytime Stranger, which is an RPG. So I haven't played Digimon in a very long time, I think since PS2, give or take. But this one is an RPG. It is going to be like, I guess, some kind of mystery. You're trying to unlock who is this stranger in time or whatnot. And it is a turn-based RPG. So for those of you out there saying, hey, you know, turn-based RPGs are the way of the past. We need more action-oriented stuff. No, we don't. Turn-based RPGs still sell. Look at Persona. Look at Dragon Quest. And now this. So there's definitely a market for this stuff out there. And as I was saying earlier, we have Saint Boot here in the chat. They were saying, you know, they really wish that Final Fantasy would return to turn-based. I agree with that. I would really love to see them do it. If you haven't played it, though, check out World of Final Fantasy. It was originally out on PS3, but I believe they came out with Final Fantasy. No, it was PS3 or PS4. I don't remember. I know it is on PS4, though, and they do have Maxima now, which is the upgraded version. So I haven't played the Maxima content, but the original game was pretty good. So check that one out if you're into turn-based RPGs and you're into Final Fantasy and you're into Pokemon, actually, because it does have that gotta collect them all kind of thing. So check that one out. We also got, or check out Digimon Storytime Stranger. We got a question here. What's your favorite game from the 29 list and DLCs from the State of Play? For me, I don't know. I guess Hell Is Us is probably the biggest one. That one probably is the one I'm going to be keeping my eye on the most. We didn't get much more on gameplay, but we did get kind of a story trailer, so it's revealing the story. You're in a world where there's some sort of corruption or something. Most people are dead or disappeared, and you're kind of wandering this world and trying to survive it and trying to help out those few who do survive in this world. So it looks really interesting to me. I will keep an eye on it, see what kind of game it is. I'm not quite sure. It looks kind of like a Souls-like game, you know, where it's got that kind of difficulty curve with the parrying and that sort of thing and whatnot. So, is it more action oriented? Is it a little more forgiving? I don't really know yet. We're gonna have to wait and see. That one caught my eye the most. Another one that caught my eye was Directive 8020. So Directive 8020 is made by the same people who did the Dark Pictures game. In fact, I think this one is a Dark Pictures game. So, you know, the other games in the series are Man of Medan, Little Hope, House of Ashes, The Devil in Me. They've also done The Quarry and Until Dawn. So, you know, this is, it gives you what kind of an idea of what kind of game this is. This is not going to be an action-oriented game. This is going to be more of a procedural story game where you can choose the direction of the story. Seems to be a mix of Alien and what's the other one? The Thing. So, you know, you're on the spaceship, you're going somewhere, this life form gets on, it is able to replicate other members of your crew. So as you go through, you know, who is the alien, who is still human. And given how Until Dawn worked, I think it's actually would be interesting because I think you're going to have multiple possibilities there. So that's kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to that one. I probably will play that. I'm really into sci-fi, so that's the kind of thing. Yeah, looking over here, what other people are looking over in the comments. Saint Boot, I'm looking forward to Stellar Blade DLC, the Digimon game, X Edition 33, Wuchang, Lost Souls Aside, AI Limit, Onimusha, and Onimusha 2 Remaster. I am also looking forward to Expedition 33. I am really looking forward to that one. But it was not featured here. Wuchang was also not featured here. That's another one that I'm really looking forward to. But other ones that were in the State of Play were Lost Soul Aside, which Saint Boot mentioned. And we got kind of a more of a story trailer this time. It was a little bit more of what's going on behind the scenes, not so much the gameplay. We also got, like they said, Onimusha, Way of the Sword. I'm really looking forward to this. I played the original Onimusha and I really, really enjoyed it. If you haven't played them, it is not so much like a Neo game. It's more like Resident Evil, but more of a melee focus because you're a samurai, you use a sword. But you know, you're running around, you kill a boss, you get some item, that item plugs into a door that unlocks the door. There's, you know, puzzles and that sort of thing. So I am looking forward to this one. I haven't played an Onimusha game in a very long time. So maybe this might, depending on when it comes out, this might be a good choice for my Halloween, my October stream. So maybe I'll stream this one in October. We also got, like was mentioned, Stellar Blade with Goddess Victory Nike. So that is going to be their next DLC. It shows basically a lot of new outfits for Eve to wear. That's probably what most people are going to be looking forward to. But I did say that there are some new bosses. So are we getting some sort of, you know, like short story content kind of thing? Is this just going to be new bosses added to boss rush mode? When they said new bosses, they showed Man, who is the bodyguard of Oracle, and he's your ally. So normally you would not be fighting him. So I don't know if that's going to be story related or if that's just going to be a boss rush mode. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably boss rush mode. They did also show a new area or zone. So who knows, you know, how extensively we'll be able to explore that area, or if it's just kind of a brief thing that you can visit. It does have me a little bit concerned though, because what we've been waiting for in terms of Stellar Blade is more story content. You know, it kind of ends on a hit cliffhanger, and people have been wanting more, you know, more information of what's going to happen. A lot of people wanted like a Raven DLC where we kind of see her story and go back in time and see what she went through. But so far, the DLC that we've gotten and the DLC that's been announced have both been crossover content. The first one was Nier Automata. This one is Goddess of Victory Nike. So I am a little bit concerned that maybe they're focusing more on these crossover DLCs and not so much the, you know, extending Stellar Blade itself DLC. Who knows? Maybe we will see something like that in the future. We are getting a sequel, it looks like, so at least there will be content. But the question is, how long do we have to wait? Do we have to wait for a full new game, or are we going to be getting something a little before that? So I'm hoping before that, but seeing that their first 2 DLCs have crossover, a little bit concerned there. The other big game that I was interested in is Soros. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but it is from the creators of Returnal. And if you know Returnal, it is a roguelike game where, you know, live, die, repeat, that sort of thing. Soros is a little bit different, though, in that when you die, you can keep the resources that you've collected. So each time you come back, you're going to come back a little bit stronger. So they've tweaked the formula there a little bit. So I like that. I'm looking forward to keeping an eye on that one. But the one that seems to have captured the most people's attention, at least what the most chatter that I've seen online, is for Tides of Annihilation. So Tides of Annihilation is it's a action adventure kind of game. When I first saw it, my first idea was like, okay, this looks a lot like Stellar Blade, you know, attractive a protagonist, you know, running around, swords and whatnot. But what a lot of people have been comparing it to is Final Fantasy 16. And the more I look at it, the more it does look like Final Fantasy 16. So this will be coming out on PS5, PC, and Xbox. So no matter where you are, except for Switch, you'll be able to play it. So no worries there. You'll be taking on the role of Gwendolyn, who is the last surviving human in London, named after the legendary English Queen, Gwendolyn. But we'll get a little more into that later. And London has been twisted by, there's basically this other reality that's kind of invaded and taken over, and now London is crumbling, and that other reality is Avalon. So that is from Arthurian legend. If you are familiar with the Once and Future King, or, you know, King Arthur or anything like that, or if you've read the Witcher book series, you've probably heard of Avalon. So this will be drawing heavily from Arthurian legend. And as I mentioned before, you are playing Gwendolyn, who is actually not from Arthurian legend. She's a different legend, but still English. So it does look like we're going to be getting a lot of kind of Anglo-Saxon traditional legends and mythology here, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, you'll be moving through London, and you'll be calling on the power of Arthurian knights. So, you know, you're going to be able to summon them or summon their powers and use those in combat, which is where people are drawing the comparison to Final Fantasy 16, because in Final Fantasy 16 you had your icons, right? You can pull from Ifrit or Garuda or Titan. So in this one, I'm guessing Lancelot, Galahad, those kind of guys. But you're going to be able to pull from their power and switch between them, and you're going to be using that for combat. And it says that we are going to be getting over 30 unique boss fights, and some of those are going to be including rather large monsters. So you're going to be battling these gigantic knights that roam London. So that's the one that I've seen the most chatter online about. So I think a lot of people are probably going to be looking forward to that. So let us know if you are interested in that, or if that's the kind of thing that you would like to see. Originally, when I first saw it, I was kind of like, you know, it didn't really catch my interest. But to be fair, Stellar Blade, exact same thing. You know, my first time I saw it, I wasn't really that into it. It wasn't until I saw later stuff that I really got into it. But you know, so this one I saw it, I was kind of like, but then the more I read about it from what other people are chattering online, I'm kind of like, actually, you know what? maybe I should keep my eye on this one. Maybe this one will be fun. I did enjoy Final Fantasy 16, so who knows? So anyway, that was kind of a recap of the state of play. Like I said, there were 29 games and 3 DLC, or sorry, 26 games and 3 DLC, so 29 announcements in all. Obviously, we didn't get into all of them here, but if you get the chance and you have the time, it's 40 minutes long, so go ahead and check it out and let us know which games you guys were interested in. And, you know, maybe ones that we mentioned, if you have a little more information on them, or ones that we didn't mention. If you're like, hey, you know what, this game probably deserves some attention too, you should take a look at that. So let us know in the comments.
Thank you, Adam.
Yep. Sorry for the repeat for those watching live.
Okay, then I will quickly jump into my video and then we'll jump back into Adam for his last video, the Nintendo video.
That's right. Antoine didn't only had one today, so it kind of works out.
Antoine, unless you want to do something else.
Something else? No, not really. I'm just playing my The Room puzzle, but nothing I can do a 10 minutes video on, right?
Okay, okay.
Like, you know,
yeah, no worries,
puzzle
no worries.
stuff, just watch my videos. That's it. Relax, you can sleep while I play.
Good call. Good shout out. So gamers, I have been playing Avowed early access because I did pay that unbelievable premium price of $80 USD to play it early, and I was really stressing out before it's come up. I was like, where's the preload? Where's the preload? And then here's another like prop, or what do you call that? Like a shout out for Xbox. Xbox players get to preload, or Xbox Game Pass players get to preload. So if you bought this through Microsoft, you got to preload early. As soon as that clock struck midnight, or was like 2 a.m. here in Taiwan, you could have been playing Avowed last week Friday morning if you bought the game through Xbox. If you were a Steam player, you had to wait for the game to be released, then download it, which is fine, I guess. Like, I mean, Taiwanese internet is fast. It didn't take too long. It was only like a 60 gigabyte game. So I've been playing for 4 hours. I wanted to play a lot more. I've got the feeling, cue the music, right? Like, just want to keep playing and playing and playing and playing and not stop and ignore my responsibilities. I even played last night because I realized, oh, my American colleagues were off yesterday because yesterday was President's Day, right, Adam?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. Whatever the holiday was in America yesterday, I thought it was President's Day. I saw something in Slack about
It
that.
is.
Oh, thank you, Antoine. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And no one was talking to me on Slack. No one was asking me for something. Like, okay, I can sneak in another 1 hour of gameplay during theoretical work time. So I did play some Avowed yesterday. And I was like, okay, this week is the actual released week of Avowed. I think if it's not today or is it later on in the week, I'm not sure. And you're like, hey, do I want to buy Avowed, right? You've probably seen mostly good reviews, some sort of middling reviews. Some people were like, yeah, why they didn't enjoy the game. I'm going to tell you, like, who is this game for? Should you be buying it? So 5 questions you need to ask yourself, right, before you buy the game. Do you like RPGs, right? Because this is an RPG. I know, a very simple question, right? But like RPGs have expanded from like the 90s, I think, to incorporate a lot of different things. But this is very much the same. Like, hey, quest, go here, kill stuff. Hey, go here, get this, come back, give it to me. Hey, go here, talk to this guy, solve something, make a decision. And if you don't like RPGs, but you're not currently in the RPG gaming mode, I've seen stuff on Threads and Blue Sky where people are like, yeah, I'm just so over RPGs. I just played 3 Dragon Quests back to back and I'm done. So again, this will definitely not be the thing for you. The second question you have to ask is like decisions, right? Like I played Fallout 4 and that was a decision game that I'm like, I want to go back and play this again. And after I played Fallout 4, I'm like, oh my God, this was such emotionally daunting decision that I made in the game, and the ending was so good/bad. I could never do that. But this game definitely looks like there are a lot of decisions. Even in the first hour of the game, you're like, oh, if I do this, this will happen. If I don't do this, this will happen. And you have to make decisions. So again, some of the stuff, again, depends how you take it. Like I tend to take this stuff seriously as that's my personality. So if you don't take it seriously, you'll be fine. If you take it seriously, like this can be a little bit emotionally heavy. So like after this, I'm like, I need to go back to my sort of comfort, cozy games and play something nice and happy after I play Avowed. The next thing I would say you have to ask yourself is like, do you like exploration? So as I made another video about this, right? Avowed is not an open world game, it's an open zone game. And this is the quote from the director of the game, Carrie Patel. So that means like right, there is no, going up into the high place like you would in an Assassin's Creed game, like here are all the activities you need to do, right? There's an area and you can go within this area and you can just go everywhere, right? Like there are specific parts that have been made in the game. You can go there, you can do this stuff, right? But at the same time, you do get rewarded for exploration, for exploring every single part that was created for you, right? There is no exploring stuff and finding nothing, right? Everything was made. There are things there for a reason. If you like exploration, you're going to get rewarded for it. You're going to find cool stuff. Like in the first few hours, it's just money. You might find some unique items in the game that give you different bonuses, but nothing too fantastic. But exploration does really reward you. You get like treasure maps as well, which a lot of games have, so that's not quite unique there. The fourth question I have to say is like, the fourth question you'd have to ask yourself is, do you like dialogue, right? So I gave this a chance. I'm like, come on, Corinne, you can do it. You can listen to story this time, and it lasted all of 1 hour. And then in my second hour of the gaming session, I'm like, okay, spacebar, spacebar, spacebar. Or I just read it and then I can skip. I don't have to listen to people yammer on. No. And some of the dialogues, like there's the guy, your very first companion you get, he's a very famous Hollywood actor. And I can't remember his name. But you'd recognize the voice. I remember now. He's the guy who plays Yondu in Marvel, in the Marvel movies. The guy with the blue head, with the little needle thing. But yeah, he's that guy who plays Yondu in the Marvel movies is the guy who literally plays a blue person in Avowed as well, which is a coincidence. Or not a coincidence, maybe, I don't know. And the last question is, this is more for me. It's sort of like, when I was playing the game and it hit me in the stomach, because this is something I grew up with, right? Being one of like 4 people in an all-white school, is like, in the beginning of Avowed, you see a person and the person's like, what's that on your face? You're so ugly. And like, it's really like, it's terrible. Like I'm smiling, I'm laughing about it. I'm like, when this person said it, right? And that's not the first person that says it, right? Because you are a godlike in Avowed, right? And you do have this weird stuff growing on your face. You do look very different to everybody else that you see. All the NPCs, all the characters, all the things you might fight, or the people you might fight. You are unique. And I think I look pretty in the game. Maybe. Okay. But people say stuff about your appearance and your color and the kind of person you are, the race, because you are a godlike, which is a separate race in the game. And it's kind of hurtful in a way. Like, it brings up bad memories for me. So that's something like, again, I forgot what is the English word, like a trauma or something.
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning. Yes, thank you. Yeah, definitely that was a trigger warning, because I was like, I stopped for like a few seconds. I'm like, do I want to keep playing this if people are going to keep commenting about my appearance and saying bad stuff about my race? Like it's but yeah, otherwise, absolutely fun game. Beyond that, like, I love the action. I love the fighting. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, I've never played a game more than once, with the exception of Command & Conquer 3, XCOM 1 and 2, which I played more than once. Only 3 games in 30 years of gaming, pretty much, that I played more than once. So this, I'm actually going to do a mage build, since I'm doing a ranger build. And I'm doing a ranger build where I never use a sword at all. I'm only using arrows, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But yeah, highly recommended. The game is out this week. You guaranteed it's either out today or sometime like on the 20th. I can't remember the specific date. But yeah, if all of those things, you're like, yes, I'm cool with all those things, then you're good. Games runs fantastic. I'm running it on my old 3070 Ti because the 7800 XT that I bought at the same time Adam did is dead, and it's sitting somewhere in a repair center to be repaired. But even with my 3070 Ti, 4K high, perfect, like no dropped frames, beautiful, beautiful game. Highly recommended. And that's it. And then we can move on to Adam's last story, unless Antoine or Adam have any questions. No, Antoine is done. Adam?
No, yeah, the only thing is we got a comment in there saying that this game's a lot more colorful than they thought it was. But they're also asking, they're also saying they'd love to play Val on PS5, which I don't think it's coming to PS5, is it? Or at least hasn't been announced yet.
Not yet, yes. So
Okay.
unfortunately not. But yes, it is like, that is one of the things when I'm recording videos and stuff, it's like, the game's just beautiful. Like, it's so like the opposite of Diablo 4 or Skyrim or games of that nature, right? And this has a third-person camera as well, which is another unique thing. Like, you can play this in third person. There's no modding added. And for Antoine, I read this, woke up this morning, was like, yeah, there are already a bunch of mods for Avowed out. I'm going to do another video on that, because I'm like, if Antoine's not going to do a modding video, I have to do one on Avowed. So There's a bunch of mods out like to make your companions better because they are kind of limited in what they do. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Any idea what mod managers they use?
It's going to be Nexus for sure.
Like Vortex then.
As in
With
like
Nexus?
like whatever the
The
mod
Nexus
manager.
mode with Vortex. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Skyrim's not beautiful. Have you been to was it River Run or whatever it's called?
But I mean, like compared, like this is full of like bright purples. There's like
Which mod are you using for Skyrim?
But when I say beautiful in terms of colors, like Skyrim was like northern snow, winter dull. Like this game is like, it's just like it's bright. Like it's a happy game. Like there's so many different colors, and there's these gigantic purple mushrooms you'll see everywhere as native vegetation. These things which look like squirrels that are red, blue, green, purple. They're like all colors of the rainbow that run around. It's like a psychedelic, someone who's done a lot of drugs. It looks good, and I like it.
Colorful. Psychedelic's probably a good word.
Yes.
All right. So moving on to my final story for today. It is back to Pal World. Welcome back. But Nintendo also. So Nintendo has recently been approved of their second patent has been approved. So if you remember what their patents are, we talked about these before. They have to do with capture mechanics. So basically they say, you know, press a button, hold down the button. This will bring up a new UI, which has targeting, some sort of targeting thing that'll show you the trajectory of the projectile. And when that trajectory is aimed at a certain monster, it'll show you a percentage of the chance of catching it and blah, 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 blah. Basically how you catch Pokemon. They tried patenting that, you know, the whole mechanic of throwing it, and they were very specific on how they did it. And so the second patent has been approved, which is going to help them in their legal fight against Pal World, where they're not actually demanding a lot of money, but they're demanding is more of a cease and desist, or, you know, pay us a lot going forward. Don't pay us a lot today. But anyway, they got that second patent, but there is a third patent, and that third patent is a little bit different. This one has to do with oops, sorry, I just hit my microphone. They're coming out with a third patent. That third patent is was denied, or was, well, no, sorry, that the third patent was passed, but it had some objections. So they do have some concerns with that. But there is another patent that is the one for concern right now. That patent is patent number 186528883. Sorry, 166528883. That is the patent number. And there are 23 separate claims in this patent. 22 of them have been denied, but one has been objected to. So the and that's a cause for concern. So, you know, people might say like, oh, it's been denied, right? Their patent has been denied. Well, actually, no, this is a legal trick that Nintendo is using as per a Japanese patent lawyer. So basically this lawyer came out, and apparently it works the same way in the States. Basically, they say that many patents will often include a mix of broad and narrow claims. And the thing is that the more claims you add to a patent, the more likely your patent is actually to succeed. Because the way it works is your patent is only rejected outright if every single claim is denied. As long as you have at least one claim that is not denied, even objected to, you know, but not denied, then you can restructure your patent and come back, including the claims that were denied. So often what'll happen is they will create a patent, they will put a load of claims on them. Some of these claims are unlikely to pass, but they probably have one or two safety claims that will be approved. So then when the patent is denied, what they can do is they can then adjust the claims that were not approved, but because of the claims that were approved, resubmit the patent. And so that's basically what they've done is, you know, they got that one claim approved, and that means they can basically restructure the other claims and then resubmit it. So that seems to be what they're going to be doing. And if just for the record, this is something that happens all the time. For example, in the US, only 11.4% of patents have ever been approved on their first round. So, you know, basically 88.6% of patents are denied in their first round, but are able to survive until later rounds because at least one claim was approved, and other ones had to get adjusted. So this is basically Nintendo's strategy here, is they're tacking on all these claims to these patents, knowing that some of them are likely not to be approved, but other ones are. And then what they can do is after it is denied, then they can meet with the person who rejected the patent and actually discuss with them and saying like, well, this is why I think this claim should be approved. And then basically get tips on how they can get the other claims approved. So by doing that, you don't have to be right the first time. You can slowly adjust until you finally get what you want. So it looks like this is what Nintendo is doing. Now, on the one hand, it's kind of, you know, sneaky that they're doing this to basically, you know, get their patents in little by little to see how far they can push the envelope. That itself is a little bit sneaky. But on the bright side, this is a very, very slow process. So it doesn't look like they would be able to, or it doesn't look like they will be filing, you know, or using these in court anytime soon. So it looks like you might be able to play Pal World for quite a bit of time yet until all that gets approved. But just to update you guys on what's going on with Pal World, what's going on with Nintendo, and how they are able to continue this process. So I thought it was interesting. Hopefully you do too.
Yeah, no, they were supposed to get because it's still an early access, and if I recall, they were supposed to bring the 1.0 version, in March or something like this? And I recall it was early in the year, I think. Anyway, yeah, legal battles are always very long, so I guess we'll be able to enjoy Pal World 1.0 for a while before anything happens to it. I don't know if there can be some retroaction to it. Yeah, you played 2 years of Pal World, now give us 50% of your profit or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure you could do what is this called?
Retro.
Yeah, retro. I don't know.
Retroactive?
Retroactive or repatriate. I don't remember. But yeah, I'm sure they could do that where they're like, oh, hey, you know, you violated us and you've made all this money, and now we've proven that you violated us, so you owe us money. I'm sure that's 100% a thing.
Yeah. What is it? I know what you guys are talking
Repatriations or
about.
something like that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like
I don't
something
know.
like that.
Yeah.
But no, I'm looking forward to Pal World, you know, and because, you know, like Antoine and his son played it so much, and Adam, I saw you streaming it. That's why I never touched it. But I can imagine that's a game that once the 1.0 is out, I'm like, yep, I'm gonna jump in and play it and finally get down to it. But I'm very much, I think I told you guys this story, like when I was growing up, my brothers played something I never played it, and I'm the same situation with you guys. Like, because Antoine first played the Subnautica DLC, I have to wait like at least 3 to 4 years so I can forget what I saw when he played it before I can actually play it. So, and by the time freaking Subnautica 2 will already be out. So, yeah.
Well, to be honest, if you want, I would say a better Pal World, you can play Enshrouded.
I did play Enshrouded.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I played it for like 40 hours or so.
At least the base building, I think is better.
But I like the look of Pal World. It looks a little bit more fun besides
Yes,
the whole
more
killing.
cartoony, yes.
Yeah. Like Uncharted was,
Valheim tier.
yeah. Like it was cool and stuff, but it was also quite difficult, I would say. I can imagine Pal World is not that difficult.
Yeah, no, and it has a lot of adjustments. That was my kind of issue with Pal World, was that I was playing way faster than the game wanted me to play. So I would get to a point and I'm like, okay, I've got my base. Okay, I've got my pals. Now let's move on to the next tier of stuff. Let me upgrade my weapons. Oh, I can't because I'm 3 levels below where I need to be. Okay, fine. I'm gonna go out and grind. But yeah, you can go into the settings. You can adjust all that. So I'm like, I think nice. I just need to adjust the experience modifier so that I can level up faster. Because yeah, I'm building stuff out of my level, and then I'm like, well, now I need to just go out and do nothing to you know, just kill a bunch of pals and just grind just to be able to build the next tier of stuff that I'm already prepped for. So
I agree with you. That's a big palwall problem. It's far too grindy. Far too grindy. Yeah.
Okay, on that note, thank you everyone for tuning in, and I apologize for not recording. Probably, I think this is the most serious recording error I've ever had. We missed like a critical part of this week's content. And again, it's no excuse. Like, I'm usually working while the guys are talking, and I was doing a spreadsheet at the time. So I was like, and after I was like, I looked at him, that's not the way it's supposed to look like. Why is it a circle instead of a square? And of course, no, because I didn't hit it. But that's it for today. Stay tuned for Antoine's The Room videos, which are going to be released at a somewhat regular interval. Don't forget to catch Adam streaming 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙦. You are streaming 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙦, right?
Currently,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, and stay tuned for my videos, continued Avowed coverage for the next at least month to 2 months. I've seen people, PC Gamer has stopped playing at 70 hours, so that is like, how many hours would that be? That would be like at least 2-3 months, and I want to try and do a second playthrough as well, so stay tuned for that. And then we'll see you guys next week for more news and rounding out February, and maybe we'll talk about what's coming in March.
And happy birthday to me.
Oh, son of a... Yes, I forgot my brother's birthday is today. And Adam, happy birthday.
Thank you.
How old are you?
41.
41. How old is my... Well, you born in 84, right? As well?
Yeah, it's the exact same day as your brother.
Yeah, and it's exact same year. Yes, my brother's 41. I was like... And I have it on my calendar. Why did I not have Adam's birthday on my calendar?
So question for chat, does this guy look to 41?
No, son of a bitch. He does not.
No way.
I look 41.
No way.
And this is what 41 looks like. Everyone else
But
just looks
even
older.
Antoine, like, I look the oldest out of the three of us, and that is not fair. Antoine still has like no, very little white hair. Both of you. That's the...
I don't have any
I'm
white
gonna say
hairs.
something-
My wife does, but I tease her about it.
Say something racist. That's the advantage of white genes, right? Like,
Actually,
Still get old.
white people tend to age faster. We get white hairs faster.
at like you hit 60 and then it's just downhill from there, right? But like
Yes.
now, look at this, right? No, not cool at all.
I knew a guy who was bald when he was 15. I mean,
I know. I'm
people
just,
are people. It doesn't matter
I
your
just look at
race.
the white, right? Like it just no. No. All right. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers. Bye-bye.